The Takeda Cavalry, in fact, never existed. The strongest legend, passed down through generations, was an illusion, shaped by misunderstandings and fabrications. At the Battle of Kawanakajima, tens of thousands of soldiers clashed, yet historical records detailing specific cavalry actions are surprisingly sparse. Another force was at play, but, in fact, an even more astonishing truth lay hidden. Takeda's intentional propaganda gave birth to this legend. What motives lurked behind it? In this video, you will learn three things: why the Takeda Cavalry legend emerged, what the actual Takeda army looked like, and what historical lies continue to influence us today. Now, let us delve into that truth. In this main feature, we also detail the grand information strategy devised by Takeda Shingen. When we speak of Takeda Shingen, the Tiger of Kai, many likely envision his elite cavalry, adorned in red armor, scattering their foes. Numerous creative works, including ukiyo-e prints, novels, and historical dramas, have cemented this image, much like Western cavalry. However, in reality, a unit truly deserving the name Cavalry Corps hardly existed in Sengoku period Japan. Fundamentally, the mounted samurai of the Sengoku period had a role entirely different from the cavalry we imagine today. Horses were expensive and difficult to maintain. In mountainous terrain like Kai Province, large-scale cavalry battles on vast plains were simply not practical. Mounted samurai of the time primarily used horses for transport, and it was common practice to dismount and fight as infantry during battle. In other words, a horse was a high-status vehicle, a tool for high-ranking generals and commanders to move swiftly. Cavalry charges, like those seen against enemy lines, were rarely observed during the Sengoku period. This is surely a shocking revelation. While military chronicles often depict flashy feats by mounted samurai, these were merely literary embellishments to heighten the narrative. So why did such a powerful image, that of the Takeda Cavalry Corps, persist through later generations? The Koyo Gunkan is a military treatise recording the history of the Takeda clan, but many of its accounts include later fabrications and embellishments. Particularly regarding the exploits of mounted samurai, exaggerated descriptions are prominent. This may have reflected the desires of the people at the time. Even in battle screen paintings, mounted samurai constituted only a few percent of the total forces. The overwhelming majority were infantry, such as the Shigeru. What Nobunaga and Ieyasu truly feared was not Takeda's acclaimed cavalry, but rather their unity and the quality of their infantry. The Takeda army, with its strong Shigeru units, effectively utilized firearms and bows, overwhelming enemies with well-coordinated tactics. The defeat at the Battle of Nagashino is often cited as revealing the limits of cavalry charges, but in reality, the primary cause was a delayed response to firearm tactics. Maintaining a large cavalry force required enormous expense and vast lands. It was impossible for any daimyo without immense financial resources. Although the Takeda clan owned gold mines, they still lacked the resources to permanently deploy large numbers of horses. So, why did Takeda Shingen strive to propagate the image of a cavalry corps? A cunning psychological strategy was at play. The Takeda clan consciously promoted the illusion of being the strongest cavalry corps both internally and externally, exerting psychological pressure on rival forces. The image of formidable mounted samurai charging, shaking the very earth, was highly effective in demoralizing enemy soldiers. Shingen prioritized information warfare, aiming for bloodless victories by making his forces appear stronger than they were, compelling surrender without battle. Furthermore, even after the Takeda clan's downfall, their retainers further embellished the legend to perpetuate the greatness of their former lord. The fact that enemy records also contain descriptions like, "Takeda has many horses" is proof that they were completely taken in by this information strategy. Thus, the Takeda Cavalry Corps became deeply etched in people's minds as a force greater than historical reality. So, on the actual battlefield, how did the Takeda army demonstrate its strength? The true strength of the Takeda army lay in its unparalleled unity and the quality of its infantry, honed through rigorous training. In an era where the separation of soldiers and farmers was not yet complete, Takeda's soldiers, while farmers, underwent constant, intensive military training. Raised in the mountainous land of Kai, they knew the terrain intimately. Their mobility and guerrilla tactics, leveraging this knowledge, were unmatched. Horses played an extremely important role as means of enemy reconnaissance, relaying messages, or for the swift movement of commanders on the battlefield. In other words, horses were not the stars, but the unsung heroes supporting the Takeda army's strategy. The Takeda Cavalry legend was a fascinating historical tale, where Sengoku period psychological warfare influenced perceptions even into modern times. Why did the Takeda Cavalry legend emerge? It was due to the Takeda clan's clever information strategy and later historical fabrications and embellishments. What was the actual Takeda army like? It was a highly practical force, primarily composed of elite infantry, skilled in mountain warfare tactics. And what are the historical lies that influence us today? They teach us the importance of multifaceted historical source verification and media literacy. Historical tales passed down through generations often possess a complex, multifaceted nature, where truth and fiction intertwine. The legend of the Takeda Cavalry might indeed be an embodiment of that complex allure.
History still hides untold stories. Subscribe for more forgotten history.